Okay, so picture this. A guy who lived 2,500 years ago. He never wrote a single word down, but his ideas, they literally changed the world. Today, we're diving into the story of Socrates, a man whose habit of questioning everything and everyone in Athens ultimately got him sentenced to death.
And this right here is probably his most famous quote. It's this wild paradox that's really at the heart of his whole philosophy. Now, it sounds like a total contradiction, right? But believe it or not, that idea was the key to his entire mission. And it's a mission that would make him, somehow, both the most loved and the most hated man in all of Athens.
So you gotta wonder, how could a simple idea, just admitting you don't know stuff, be so powerful, but also so incredibly dangerous? Well, to figure that out, we've got to dig into one of the most famous, and most fatal, trials in all of history.
All right, first things first. To really get Socrates, you have to get the world he lived in. We're talking 5th century BC Athens. And let me tell you, things are not great. The city is just getting over a brutal, devastating war with Sparta. The so-called Golden Age, that's over. Their democracy is shaky, and the whole city is basically in the middle of a huge identity crisis. People are scared, they're confused, and they are desperate for some real answers. So into this chaotic scene walk these guys called the Sophists. And it was super easy to mistake Socrates for one of them. See, the Sophists were these slick, traveling teachers. They charged a ton of money to teach the sons of rich guys how to win arguments. And in a democracy where being a good public speaker can make you powerful, well, you can bet that was a hot commodity. But Socrates, he was the complete opposite. He never left Athens, he refused to take a single coin for his teaching, and he wasn't interested in winning. He was obsessed with finding the truth.
So you might be asking, where did this whole mission even come from? Well, it all started with a really weird riddle from the most sacred place in the ancient Greek world, the Oracle of Delphi. A friend of his goes to the oracle and asks, "Is anyone wiser than Socrates?" And the oracle's answer, "Nope." Socrates was totally baffled by this, so he does what he does best. He goes around and starts questioning all the supposed wise guys in Athens, the politicians, the poets, the generals, and what he found was, well, they couldn't really defend any of their own beliefs. They were just faking it. And that's when it clicked for him. The oracle was right. His wisdom wasn't about having all the answers. It was about knowing for a fact how much he didn't know.
And this is how he described himself. I love this. He saw Athens as this big, powerful, but kind of lazy horse. And he decided it was his job, his divine duty even, to be the gadfly, that annoying little fly that keeps biting the horse to keep it moving, to keep it awake and thinking. But here's the thing. When you're stinging the state, you end up poking at some very powerful, very sensitive beliefs. And those are the questions that would, in the end, cost him everything. Yeah, because Socrates wasn't just asking what's for dinner. His questions, his constant probing went right to the heart of Athenian society. He was challenging the absolute foundations of their world, their gods, their ideas of right and wrong, even their whole system of justice.
Okay, check this out. This is a perfect example. It's called the Euthyphro Dilemma, and he posed it to this priest he ran into. At first glance, it seems like a pretty straightforward question about morality and the gods, but it's not. It's a brilliant philosophical trap designed to make you question the very idea of divine authority.
Because no matter how you answer, you're cornered. Path 1. If something is good just because the gods say so, then morality is completely arbitrary. The gods could command something horrible, and we'd have to call it good. Yikes. But if you go with path 2 and say the gods command things because they are already good, that means there's a standard of goodness that exists outside of the gods. And if that's true, well, then we don't really need them to be moral, do we? Either way you slice it, the traditional authority of the gods just crumbles. And it didn't stop there. Here's another one of his really radical ideas. Socrates was convinced that nobody knowingly does evil. He argued that wrongdoing isn't a choice, it's just a result of ignorance. Basically, if people truly deeply understood what was good, they would always choose it. It's that simple.
Now think about the implications of that. It's huge. It completely flips our whole idea of justice on its head. For Socrates, a prison shouldn't be about revenge or punishment. It should be a school. The goal isn't to make people suffer for what they did, it's to educate them. Because if you can just teach someone what is truly good, they'll stop doing bad things. It's a cure, not a punishment.
So as you can probably guess, going around town systematically proving that the most powerful people are clueless, that their gods might be irrelevant, and that their justice system is all wrong, that's a good way to make some very powerful enemies. And that, right there, brings us to the climax of this whole story. Okay, so the official charges they brought against him were 1. Not believing in the city's gods, and 2. Corrupting the youth. But Socrates, in his own defense, basically said, come on, that's not what this is really about. He argued the jury was just acting on years and years of bad press and resentment, from a popular play that made fun of him, and from every powerful guy he'd ever made look foolish in public. Plus, and this was a big deal, he had connections to some people who had briefly overthrown the democracy, which made him look pretty suspicious.
So, the jury was massive. We're talking 500 of his fellow Athenians. And the vote to find him guilty, it was unbelievably close. If just 30 people had voted the other way, he would have walked free. But he was found guilty. And that's when things moved to the sentencing phase, which in Athens worked a little differently.
The prosecution demanded the death penalty. Now Socrates had to propose his own alternative punishment. He could have suggested being banished from the city or paying a fine, pretty much anything to save his life. But instead, he went for one last epic and frankly sarcastic act of defiance. You're hearing that right. He basically said, look, I've been this city's Gadfly. I'm the one who's been keeping you all on your toes and making you think. I've been your greatest benefactor. So he argued he didn't deserve punishment. He deserved the highest honor the city could give, free meals for life at public expense, just like an Olympic champion. As you can imagine, this did not go over well.
And that's really what sealed his fate, his own incredible, defiant sarcasm. The jury, now feeling totally mocked and insulted, voted again. And this time, it wasn't even close. A whole bunch of jurors who had voted not guilty before switched their votes. And just like that, he was sentenced to death by drinking hemlock. But here's the crazy thing. The story doesn't end with his death. In fact, in a weird way, his execution is the reason we're even talking about him today. Athens thought they were getting rid of an annoying pest. What they actually did was create a legend. See, by choosing death over giving up his mission or just running away, Socrates created a whole new kind of hero. He wasn't a warrior like Achilles, famous for his strength. He was a martyr for the truth, an intellectual hero, someone willing to die for his principles and for the simple act of asking questions. And his legacy was cemented by his star student Plato. Plato is absolutely devastated by his teacher's execution, and he basically made it his life's work to make sure Socrates was never forgotten. He made Socrates the hero of his famous dialogues, which meant his teacher's ideas, his methods, and his incredible story would go on to inspire thinkers for thousands of years. It literally became a cornerstone of all of Western philosophy. And this, right here, is maybe the most important thing he ever said, and he said it at his own trial. It's the perfect summary of his entire life's philosophy. For Socrates, the whole point of being human was to use your brain to think critically about your own life, your own beliefs, your own values. If you're just going through the motions without ever stopping to ask why, well then you're not really living at all. And that really gets to the heart of his legacy, doesn't it? Socrates was executed because he refused to stop making people uncomfortable. He refused to stop asking difficult questions. And in our world today, which is so full of information and so often demands simple, easy answers, his story kind of forces us to look in the mirror and ask, do we have the courage to ask the hard questions? Or are we more comfortable with the easy answers? That's a question worth examining.